All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to explore something pretty profound: the spiritual status and the protections that are given to a wife in a marriage. And we're pulling this directly from foundational Shia Islamic teachings. This is a perspective that really frames womanhood as something incredibly precious, something defended by divine ordinance itself.
So, that leads us to the central question that's really going to guide us through this whole explainer. What does divine guidance actually have to say about a wife's ultimate protection inside a marriage? And the answer, as you're about to see, is well, it's both ancient and just incredibly powerful. All right, so let's dive in. Our roadmap for this journey comes from two absolutely monumental collections of traditions, or hadith: Man la yaduruhu al-faqih and al-kafi. Now, these aren't just any old books, right? Think of them more like deep wells of precious guidance, straight from the Prophet Muhammad and the Imams, peace be upon them all.
So, let's kick things off with a narration that is, honestly, pretty mind blowing. It really sets the entire foundation for how this sacred bond of marriage is viewed. And look, this isn't just some casual advice, it's presented as a full on divine mandate, delivered by the highest angelic authority you can imagine. Now, this comes to us directly from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, peace be upon him. And I really want you to just sit with this for a second. Let the weight of it sink in. The counsel from the Archangel Jibril, it was so constant, so intense, so insistent, that the Prophet himself started to think that maybe, just maybe, the option of divorce was gonna be almost completely taken off the table, reserved only for the absolute most extreme cases of clear misconduct. So, what's the big takeaway here? The implication is just massive. This divine guidance raises the wife's status and the sanctity of the marriage to an incredible level. It's basically saying that divorce isn't just some casual option you can throw around. No, it's positioned as an absolute rock bottom final resort, only for the most extreme situations. And that really highlights the wife's built in inherent protection within that bond. All right, so let's keep building on this. How does a high level divine principle like that actually translate into everyday life? Well, the teachings lay out some very specific, very practical duties for a husband. And here's the crucial part: we have to understand these not as optional favors or, acts of charity. No, these are non negotiable rights. They belong to the wife, period. But before we get to those specific duties, we absolutely have to understand this key concept: Nafqa. So, what is it? It's the mandated financial maintenance that a husband must provide. We're talking about her food, her housing, her clothing. And let's be super clear, this is not a gift. It's not a favor. It is her divinely ordained right, and it's designed to completely safeguard her honor, her dignity, and her financial security. So, this framework, which comes to us from Man la Yadaruhu al-Faqih, it lays out three core duties. And together, they form this really beautiful, cohesive structure for a just and fair marriage. It kicks off with financial dignity, then it moves into this mandate of kindness, and it all culminates in the absolute protection of her reputation and her honor. Okay, let's zoom in on that second step for a moment. This mandate of kindness. It's not just about being polite or, tolerating each other. The actual language used here implies living together in a good, respectable, well-known way. It's a command, really, for a partnership built on genuine affection, on mutual respect, and on real emotional presence. It's a way of constantly confirming her value as a true partner. And that third step, wow, it's really profound. This duty to forgive her faults and, importantly, to conceal her shortcomings, that's an act of protective concealment. Think about that. It means the husband basically becomes the guardian of her honor. He's the one who ensures her dignity is held up not just inside the home, but out in society as well. It's a powerful affirmation of just how precious she is. Okay, so what are the stakes here? What happens when these duties are actually met? Or when they're ignored? For that, we're going to turn to the teachings in Al-Kafi, which get into the really deep spiritual impact a husband's behavior has on his own relationship with God. And wow, the contrast couldn't be more stark. The teachings in Al-Kafi make it crystal clear. A man's treatment of his wife is a direct reflection, a direct measure of his own faith. Fulfilling her rights, that brings huge spiritual rewards. It affirms his piety. But neglecting them, that's seen as a kind of oppression, and it comes with a severe warning that calls his very faith into question.
So, as we start to bring this all together, a really clear picture starts to form, doesn't it? You've got the guidance from Archangel Jibril, then the practical duties laid out by the Imams, and finally, the heavy spiritual consequences. And they all point to one single, powerful conclusion. The teachings of the Alawite, peace be upon them, they don't frame the wife as some kind of subordinate, not at all. They frame her as a sacred trust, a hidden jewel. Her rights, her honor, her well-being, these aren't just, nice social ideas. They are protected by the absolute highest divine ordinance. So respecting her becomes a core part of being a pious person.
And all of this leaves us with one final powerful question to really think about. If these are the rights, if this is the incredible level of protection and accountability we're talking about, then what does that reveal about the inherent divine value that is placed on the woman herself? It's something worth reflecting on. Thanks so much for joining me.